She will ignore you until you disarm her. Not with flowers, promises, or ready-made Instagram phrases. She will only let her guard down and truly love you the moment you do what no man has ever dared to do before. Break her emotional pattern. Not the woman, the pattern. The invisible script that guides all the relationships she has ever had. The same script that turns incredible men into just another one. And if you still believe that love is born when you prove that you are a good match, that you have good intentions, and that you would not hurt anyone, then you are further from seduction than you think. See, the problem is not that you are a good man. The problem is that you are a predictable man. Being too good, too available, too present, tells her brain, he is just another one who will do anything for me. And when she realizes this, a button is pressed internally. The indifference button. Because what her brain wants is tension. Not violence, but contrast. Not aggression, but intensity. And that, my friend, is something that only a very specific type of man can do. The man who doesn't give in to the emotional game. Who doesn't change his rhythm, his voice, or his posture when she pulls away, becomes silent, or tests him. The man who understands that female love is activated not by security, but by controlled imbalance. A kind of calculated shock that says, with him, I'm not in control, and I want more of that. Today you'll understand why being the nice guy destroys you. You'll see how the female mind connects to the unpredictable. And most importantly, you'll learn how to become the only type of man capable of breaking her emotional pattern. Because if you don't break the script, you become an extra in another man's story. You've probably done this before, maybe without realizing it, maybe even with pride. You woke up feeling inspired, sent her a good morning princess with a loving emoji. You spent hours listening to her talk about work, her friend, her ex. You planned dates, bought her gifts, paid attention. And in the end, silence, cold answers, mysterious disappearances, and a phrase that resonates like a sentence. You're an amazing guy, but the but is what breaks you. It's what makes you question, what did I do wrong if I did everything right? The answer is brutal. You've become the guy she respects, but doesn't want. Who she admires, but can't imagine in bed. Who she knows is available, and exactly because of that, no longer arouses any kind of deep emotion. The fatal mistake wasn't being good, it was being predictable. This is the dilemma of the A-list man. The more he tries to prove that he's the best, the more he looks like all the others who tried exactly that. He enters an invisible race where he loses precisely because he participates. And what he doesn't understand is that women's emotions don't follow the logic of reward. They follow the script of tension. A script that is activated by contrast, by doubt, by the oscillation between he wants me and he doesn't need me. Is it cruel? Yes. Is it real? More than you'd like to admit. And here's the great irony. The more you try to win her over with stability, the more you emotionally deactivate her. Because deep down, what generates attachment is not comfort, but butterflies in the stomach. And these butterflies only appear when there is something to lose. When there is risk. When you don't bend to her whims. The nice guy is too secure, and too much security kills excitement. What you see as care, she interprets as boredom. What you offer as certainty, she feels as emotional imprisonment. This is the silent tragedy of the men who try the hardest to please. They think they are building a bridge to her heart, but in reality they are building a barrier between themselves and desire. Because desire needs air, space, tension, doubt, and all that effort. Constant texts, excessive compliments, long-term plans before the connection is even formed, smothers that desire before it can even blossom. You may think you're acting out of love, but if your love is born out of fear of losing her, then it's not love, it's desperation. And no woman falls in love out of desperation. They may feel sorry for her. They may even stay out of convenience. But love only loves someone who defies the script. Who says with their eyes, I'm not here to be just another guy. I'm here to be unforgettable. And if you don't realize that, too bad for you. You weren't rejected for being good. You were rejected for being predictable. For being read in the first few pages. For being deciphered before you even caused tension. The modern woman isn't looking for a prince. She's looking for an enigma. Someone who can throw her off balance, who can challenge her emotionally without being toxic, who can protect her without nullifying himself. And this man, listen carefully, never gives everything all at once. He gives her layers, and each new layer she discovers makes him more addictive, more rare, more desired. If you've got that, congratulations. You're one step closer to becoming the kind of man she remembers, even years later. She doesn't cling to what's good, she clings to what's intense. This is the reality that destroys the ego of men who were raised to be correct, kind companions. Because in the realm of female desire, what prevails is not morality, it's neurochemistry. And inside the female brain, desire is triggered by a sequence of stimuli that have nothing to do with logic or kindness. They have to do with emotional chaos, with unpredictability, with the feeling of not knowing exactly what's going on, and precisely because of that, not being able to stop thinking. And do you know who understands this? The kind of man she should avoid, but can't. This man activates in her what we call emotional addiction. He plays with the hormonal roller coaster that inhabits every female brain. Dopamine, adrenaline, cortisol, serotonin, all these neurotransmitters react to the same factor, emotional unpredictability. And the more he makes her oscillate between euphoria and doubt, between excitement and confusion, the more her brain clings to him as if he were a drug. Literally. The chemistry is real. The feeling of, I can't let go of this guy, is not poetry, it's withdrawal. Robert Greene said in The Art of Seduction that the true power of a seducer is not in his beauty or status, but in his ability to provoke emotional surrender. The seducer doesn't offer answers, he offers questions. He doesn't say who he is, he allows the other person to discover, and in the process he plants the illusion of choice, when in fact he is in control the whole time. Women don't fall in love with answers. They fall in love with the journey of deciphering a man who never gives himself completely. And this journey is almost always initiated by one element: emotional confusion. She doesn't know if he will respond. She doesn't know if he enjoyed the encounter. She doesn't know if he will open up more or if he will disappear. And this not knowing is the fuel of desire. While the nice guy gives her everything at once: intentions, plans, affection, vulnerabilities. The man who understands the dynamics of desire gives her just enough to keep her intrigued and withholds just enough to keep her hooked. This explains why so many women go back to guys who treat them badly. Not because they're masochists, but because these relationships create emotional highs. She feels anger, jealousy, desire, insecurity, all an addictive cycle that hooks her brain like a drug. And when she meets a man who's predictable, consistent, always there, the dopamine disappears, boredom sets in. And she says, he's great, but I don't know, something's missing. That something is the emotional imbalance that makes her brain feel alive. But here's the key. This doesn't mean you have to be toxic, abusive, or manipulative. It means you have to be strategically unpredictable. You have to create emotional tension not through pain, but through enigmatic presence. You have to alternate silence with affection, distance with intensity, detachment and connection. Not to torture her, but to make her brain associate you with the pleasure of trying to understand someone who never fully surrenders. A woman who has lived in predictable, boring, or overly controlling relationships enters a broken emotional cycle. And it is your role as a high-value man to break this pattern, not with violence, but with a new frequency. She will never truly love you until she feels that you are the first man who does not follow her, who does not change his tone to please, who does not ask if everything is okay just because she frowns, who does not rush to answer every test, because she does not want a doormat, she wants a challenge, a mirror of her emotions but with firmness, a safe haven that is also a storm. A man who, at the same time that he makes her feel protected, keeps her intrigued. It is uncomfortable to admit that female love is built on this foundation of tension, but to deny it is to deny biology itself. That is why so many women trade stable relationships for adventures that make them feel. Because feeling is what connects, feeling is what makes you stick, feeling is what turns you into an eternal memory. And what do they feel? Emotion, vibration, doubt, desire. Exactly what the right man tried to avoid in the name of stability. Do you want her to love you? Make her feel it, but do it intelligently, with intention, with emotional control. Make her associate your presence with the rarest stimulus there is, A man who doesn't need her, but still chooses her. Who challenges her without destroying her. Who excites her without losing her center. That, my friend, is the point of addiction. And whoever masters this point is never forgotten. She doesn't want to be destroyed. She wants to be decoded. And this is where amateurs go wrong. Because when they understand that they need to generate emotional tension to create attachment, they slide straight into toxicity. They think they need to be cold, distant, manipulative. But the true master knows, it's not about hurting, it's about disrupting the script. A woman only surrenders when she realizes that, for the first time, the man before her is not a predictable reaction to her chaos. He doesn't bend, he doesn't accelerate, he doesn't ask for emotional permission. He exists on his own frequency, and that's what breaks her. You don't break her with a scream. You break her in the silence where she expected a reaction. You don't break her with rudeness. You break her with a calm look when she expected desperation. You don't break her by running away. You break her by staying, but without kneeling. What dismantles her emotional pattern is not your absence. It's your firm presence. Imagine a moment when she makes a drama, a calculated silence, a passive attack. The average man reacts with fear, anxiety, excuses. The master observes, he breathes, and responds calmly or not at all. He is not insensitive, he is unflappable. And that is disarming. Because her mind, accustomed to dominating emotionally, encounters for the first time a man who does not revolve around her moods. And then for the first time, she feels like revolving around him. The secret is in the structure. The man who structures a relationship emotionally without words is what makes her relax. When she realizes that he does not put her on a pedestal, but also does not reduce her, she enters a state of true femininity. The state where she can be vulnerable without fear, silly without judgment, intense without being rejected. And all of this happens for one reason: he is stable. Stable within the chaos she creates. This is where the concept of break and reward comes in. You create small tensions, pauses, silences, slight contradictions that force her brain to leave its comfort zone. But these tensions are followed by a subtle emotional reward. A touch, a small but powerful compliment, an intense presence at unexpected moments. This is what triggers dopamine, and this is what is addictive. But this technique only works if you have what few men have: mastery of your own frame. You need to be her center of gravity. No matter what she says, insinuates, or tries to provoke, your truth does not change. Your energy does not alter. Your tone of voice is always the same. Your attention is selective, and your presence is a privilege. This kind of posture transforms you into something she has never experienced. A man who cannot be manipulated. A man she does not fully understand, and therefore wants to understand more and more. This is breaking the pattern, not with anger, not with arrogance, with control, with firmness, with the awareness that true seduction is not in impressing, but in destabilizing the mental script she has created for all men. You are the error in the system, the delicious glitch in her emotional matrix. And when she realizes this, she relaxes. She stops testing. She starts following. Not because you told her to, but because she wants to. Because for the first time she has found someone who leads her without having to dominate her.